Good morning, guys. As promised, this is a special episode of DJ Wolf Live with my take and reflection on a man that I've admired for pretty much all of my life. A man that gave reflection to me and future generations like myself up to today, all the way through the generation of the millenniums, that you can be all you can be if you want to be. His sacrifice, his ultimate sacrifice, made the difference in millions of African Americans since that time. You know, I'm talking about the good Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Let's go ahead and start the show right quick. This is a special episode of DJ Wolf Live, talking about the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on his birthday. Or at least the official national observance of his birth. You know, in this Me Too movement, Time's Up movement, they are talking about this toxic masculinity thing where they you know, it's I for me personally, it's the weirdest thing. You know, it's crazy. Oh, by the way, I'm on. Guys can chat me right now on Spreaker.com if you're on right now. Just typing it in here. Okay, right here live. I want to say right here live. I was going to do one. I was going to also do one on YouTube. I may do another one on YouTube later on. But in any case, wanted to talk about in this Me Too movement about this man. This man, as far as I'm concerned, when it came to social justice in the civil rights era, he was, as far as I'm concerned, a man's man in the fight for freedom in this country. He paid the ultimate sacrifice. I actually went on a trip, or I wasn't a trip, it was a business trip for my company back around 2003. And it just happened to be right in Atlanta. Matter of fact, my training was on the very outskirts of the city, just right outside the city, probably within about a few minutes. Matter of fact, it was so close I caught a train over there. It was just like a 15-minute ride. But anyway, and I stayed downtown Atlanta. And he stayed probably about 6 blocks, 6, 7, 8, probably about 7 blocks from downtown. He stayed, matter of fact, Dr. King childhood home was probably about, at least, I would say no more than about 10 blocks from the hotel I stayed at. And this is me at the time. I walked from my hotel, and it was about a good 30-minute walk, all the way to his house. And it really wasn't that far. I could got to my car in about probably about 5-6 minutes, which I did. And I walked right in the hood. There was a senior citizen center right over there. I think it was a project not far from there. I don't totally remember that. But I know I walked over there. It was a dual underpass around there. And when you walked past, got towards his neighborhood, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference buildings were over there. Ebenezer was on the, if I remember, was on the right side, the original Ebenezer, the old one. The new one was across the street from it. I never got a chance to go to the new one. I did go to the old one. I don't remember them allowing you to take pictures there. I probably do got pictures. What am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to gather up some of the pictures I have, and hopefully by Black History Month, I'll be able to post them on video and share some more of my trip down there in Atlanta. It was a very personal journey for me, in addition to my trip with for my company. And it was very emotional for me at one time. The first time I did drive down there to his neighborhood, I was talking to my mother on the phone. And the song, ironically, and this is no joke, was Wake Up Everybody by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, featuring Teddy Pendergrass singing lead. And I was talking to her about it, and tears were just streaming down my face. Because this was a man who I idolized, very much so. And as humble as he was, it was a humility that he had where he gave the ultimate sacrifice because he wanted to pursue the ultimate goal, which was to give each and every African American a shot at the same freedoms that everyone else in this country had. It still moves me to this day. And I know some people say, well, every time they talk about Black history, they talk about Dr. Martin Luther King. And I have to say this. You damn right they do. Of course. Why would it be any other way? You know, he set the bar high. Very high. The ultimate bar. Very high for others, you know, to achieve and follow. That takes a man's man to do that. And it opened the door for so many opportunities for us after that. It really did. I was watching it was Growing Up Hip Hop. It was Growing Up Hip Hop. That's, of course, the LA version, but Growing Up Hip Hop. And I saw the meeting of two of the three great minds of hip hop. Master P, who actually preached, as far as I'm concerned, predated Damon Dash, and Damon Dash, by the way. Didn't see Russell Simmons, of course, but he's another big time mogul as well. And of course, both Damon Dash and Master P's sons are both friends. Boogie, Damon Dash's son, and Romeo was Master P's son. And Boogie is actually working on a record for, I think, his father or Brianna, the girl that's on the show with them. And yeah, matter of fact, it was Brianna. Meanwhile, Romeo is working on a soundtrack for their upcoming new movie, which is a sequel to the original movie that Master P did that put him on the map as a actor, which was called I Got the Hookup. They're coming out with the sequel. I just found that out last night. Romeo actually is one of the co-stars in the film, and he's also doing working on the soundtrack. And I think he said he's working on a project for his own movie as well. And it was dawning on me that guys like Master P and Damon Dash and Boogie and Romeo and alike all have gotten these opportunities. And I'm going to say this. This is a reflection of what Dr. King's dream was about. It was very much about this. Now, for what I do in terms of my DJing business and my, other stuff as far as tech and all of that, I don't think it would have ever been possible for me had it not been for Dr. King. I remember years ago, a young child in the 70s. I didn't even, and this was the 70s now. This, mind you, less than a decade. It wasn't even a decade. Matter of fact, it was like probably some 3 or 4 years after King was assassinated. We talking about the early 70s, when I didn't think I had a shot at anything. I really didn't. I knew it was possible, but I didn't believe in myself. I could go all day about it. I don't want to really talk about that right now. Maybe another time I will. Or I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. But it took a long time for me to get that. When I went back to school about 22 years ago and got my associates in computer and electronic technology, I knew I had something there. My mother has bragged about years ago when I was a younger kid. I used to like to take little mechanical stuff like toys, the ones that have a little motor in it, and put them together and see how they worked. Then I worked on cars with my dad, and went to school for auto body work, and I did some mechanic work. I've done mechanic work in my own house. Matter of fact, I got a call guy about sump pump. I had a sump pump installed about 3 weeks ago. But that's another story. And when a guy came here, I actually was telling him about a story about my son and I installed a sump pump. It took 2 hours. It was one night. It was so bad. The sump pump completely went dead. With no juice on it. Checked the circuit breaker. Circuit breakers were fine. The pump was just dead. And I drove up to the nearest Home Depot. Got all the parts I needed. This is the first time I ever did it. Didn't know what I was doing. So they kind of schooled me up on it. Talked to somebody, did it. 2 hours we had it up and running. And got all that water out of there. I never forget that. I didn't know what I was doing. But it was an achievement that I established because I figured that, with me being, of course, the man in the house, you gotta get in there. But it was the fact that I had accomplished something that I knew I could be capable of doing. But part of that was from training that I had from school and all that. Dr. King made you believe to achieve through his I Have a Dream speech. His dream was all about that. His dream was about, dreaming that his children and his children's children would have the same opportunities as everyone else. To be able to do the same thing as everyone else and not be shut out because of the color of their skin. To be able to achieve the same fortunes as other people have. Which is what I reflected when I was telling you guys about looking at the two moguls, Damon Dash and Master P. That's two prime examples of what I'm talking about. And those are also two prime examples of, as far as I'm concerned, of King, of the dream itself. And that was a proud moment. I just saw this yesterday. I just saw it. And this was from the recent episode of Growing Up Hip Hop. And I was like, wow, I was proud of that. And it wasn't me during that meeting of the minds, but the fact that I got to see two well-established music moguls getting together, shaking hands, brother to brother, shoulder to shoulder. I was like, wow, that's part of the legacy. I can reflect on other things in my life where my son graduated from college, back in 2014, over at Maryland, not Maryland State, Maryland University. At the College Park campus. A number of members from my church congregation, and my mother was there. Actually, I take that back. There was one member from the church. No, I'm thinking about the high school. No, I take that back. That was when he was high school. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I'm thinking that was when he graduated high school. That was another story. When he graduated college in Pennsylvania, it was myself, my wife, my sister-in-law, my mother, and a church friend of ours all went up there. And we saw that moment, man. That was a very proud moment for me. And I'm not going to lie, my wife and I were so overcome with emotion. I cried for 10 minutes. Publicly. That's the longest I cried anywhere publicly in my life. Because I knew that he achieved something that I never got to do. I may not ever do, as far as that goes. You know, when he got his bachelor's. That was a proud moment. And to me, I consider that part of what the dream was about. He didn't get shut out from the college because of his color of his skin. You know, they accepted him. The day we took him up there, we had a 2-hour meeting with the admissions officer, and they accepted him right away. Will that ever happen with him in 1968, that specific school? I don't know. Probably not. But Dr. King's legacy, to me, led to that. Because prior to him, a lot of things we were just pigeonholed into doing. Shining shoes. Only be able to go to establishments that we had, and that was it. You couldn't go in certain neighborhoods. You couldn't live in certain neighborhoods. You couldn't eat in certain neighborhoods, restaurants, and you couldn't stay in certain hotels, and you couldn't perform in certain places. You know? Dr. King took the media and used it to his advantage to expose the dirt that was out there and turn the cameras on the people who needed to be exposed to. And made a difference. What he was getting at was trying to create equality for everybody. Give everybody a fair chance at the advantages that others had that we didn't. You know. But I'll say this. The work is not done. It's not complete. You have a president in this office right now. I'm not going to call him president. You have a man in this office of the presidency right now who's all about being self-centered. He's not about the people. He talked that big game about draining the swamp, yet he's filling it up. He talked the big game about being the people's president, and he's not even close. He's put down people of color. Those people of color that helped build this country. There was an incident when I was in Atlanta the same week where I was at the hotel. I think what was that? Of all places, the Hilton. And this white guy, I don't know if he was a pastor of a church or something, and I don't know, I didn't care. So he told me, and this is what he said: you know what makes America great? Capitalism. And I told him, I said, you know where the capitalism came from? The backs of people of color. I said, don't you forget it. Those are my very words. There were two black women sitting over across from us at the bar. They thought I was about to get in his ass. And truthfully, I had a few drinks, I almost did. Because he was trying to tell me that the capitalism, which technically he was right. It was capitalism, but it was greed that was played a big role in the capitalism that built this country. But it was built off the backs of people of color. Let's be real. It was built off the backs of Hispanics, Asians, and African Americans, particularly African Americans, because we were the only race of people who was forced to do slave labor in this country. The only race, probably one of the only races on the planet. But then you hear people say, oh, well, you know what? Y'all talking about white people, had enslaved black people, but they were worse in Egypt and all of that. But it doesn't matter. But they're still worse, just as bad here. And they were. You know, the thing about Dr. King that I love and respect so much, definitely respect. You have to respect this man. You know, this guy gave up everything for the ultimate sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice was his life. But he gave it up because of what he believed in. He believed in the greater good for equality for all people. And he wouldn't even let death stop him from getting there. That's respect. That's what a real man do. And there was a quote, I think he said, if you didn't have a cause that you were willing to die for, you ain't fit to live. Okay? And there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of raw and realness about that, because it makes a lot of sense. You have to be willing to take a stand for what you believe in. And he did. And I consider him a man's man of the civil rights movement. And that's the reason why. Not Abernathy. Not Hosea Williams. Not Jesse Jackson. Not Julian Bond. Okay? None of those guys took the stand that Dr. King took, or sacrificed the way Dr. King did. And I'm just talking about the guys I mentioned. There were others who did what King did on a lot of respects, like Medgar Evers and others who stood their ground. And made the ultimate sacrifice. If your young people are listening, I don't want you to forget what it takes to stand your ground in terms of his fighting spirit. I've heard other people on YouTube bash Martin Luther King Jr. I heard him say, well, he had affair with women. To me, I wasn't thinking about that. It's not about the fact that he had affairs with other women. Okay, he may or may not have been no angel. I didn't look at that. Look at the legacy. Look at the greater good of what he did. And maybe it can reflect the greater good in you, to benefit the greater good in others. And not worry about what other people think. Just believe in you and believe in your cause. That's what he did. All right, guys. This is DJ Wolf. I just wanted to tell you my 2 cents about this and to reflect on the memory and the legacy of really one of the greatest fighters in the history, or as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest fighter in the history of the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. All right, guys. Questions or comments? You can provide them directly to my YouTube channel, which has been renamed DJ Wolf Live on YouTube, formerly For All to Hear TV. I am in the works of creating another channel. We're trying to bring back my other channel, Love Matter. I'm looking at that right now. That's going to be kind of like a channel of my philosophies, the things that I believe in, my personal philosophies, and my spiritual notations about things I think about life. That one in particular. And a lot of the stuff like I'm talking about right now. But feel free to comment on my YouTube channel, DJ Wolf Live. Rate, like, subscribe. My podcast and all my podcasts going all the way back to 2015, you can listen to on Spreaker.com/DJ Wolf. That's Spreaker, SPREAKER.com/DJ Wolf. And my email address, if you'd like to talk further about this discussion, or if you'd like to debate me, or be on my podcast or YouTube chats versus via Hangouts, you can contact me, DJ Wolf Live at AOL.com. That's DJ Wolf Live at AOL.com. All right, guys, this is DJ Wolf. That's all I got right now. I'll be doing my daily podcast again starting tomorrow. I may do another podcast later on today. But as always, feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Rate and subscribe me on YouTube and like. That's it. I'm out.